Hello and welcome to VLOOKUP versus SUMIFS Battle of Excel Heavyweights. My name's Jeff and I'm glad that you are here. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and I love sharing the things I've learned about Excel over the years, especially those things that help us work fast. I'm excited for today's session because we get to talk about like literally two of my favorite Excel functions of all time. So the way that we're going to spend our time is we're going to do a brief intro to VLOOKUP. We're going to do a brief intro to SUMIFS, and then we're going to spend the bulk of our time in the main event. VLOOKUP it's an incredible function. It has a stellar 30+ year career. It was first introduced in Excel version 1.0 for Mac, 1985. It's a lookup function. It's a top Excel function. When you do an online web search for top Excel functions, this is in the list, and for good reason. It's amazing. And people are passionate about VLOOKUP. People are in love with VLOOKUP. It is an amazing function. It saves us a lot of time. And in fact, people feel so strongly about VLOOKUP that look at this VLOOKUP fan. This is legit right here. My friend John, he's in California. He snapped a pic of this when he was in his parking, structure and texted me this picture. I'm like, I wish I would have thought of that. What a great license plate. VLOOKUP, right? I know. Anyway, so VLOOKUP, fans are very dedicated to this function, and for good reason. It's amazing. So let's do a quick intro to the VLOOKUP function. Okay, and we're going to do two exercises. One is going to be designed to do VLOOKUP false. One is designed to show VLOOKUP true. In other words, there are two different kinds of VLOOKUPs that we can do. One is called VLOOKUP false or exact match. One is called VLOOKUP true or approximate match, which is better described as a range lookup. So let's just get started. Equals VLOOKUP. And what we're trying to do with the VLOOKUP is return a related value. VLOOKUP is a vertical lookup function. It looks up and down the first column within the range. Once it finds its match, it shoots to the right to return the related value. That's the purpose of a VLOOKUP, return the related value. In order to do that, it needs a couple of key pieces of information. The first key piece of information is, what are we trying to find? We're trying to find this. Go find this. Comma, where are we looking? That's the second piece of information we need to provide. So go find this, comma, in here, and we select the lookup range. Officially, it's known as the table array. I like to think about it like this. Go find this, comma, in here, comma, return this. Return what? It's the return value. It's the value we want to return. It scans down the first column within the lookup range. Once it finds its match, it shoots to the right. How far to the right? This is how we tell it how far. How many columns to the right? Well, 1, 2 columns. Comma. Here we're doing an exact match. This is VLOOKUP false, so we would do false. In practice, you might also see it as 0. 0 and false are both interpreted as exact match. And it means we're just looking for an exact matching value. I mean, it's case insensitive, so upper lowercase doesn't matter, but other than that, yeah, we're looking for an exact matching value. Enter. Let's see if we got it. Accounting fees 4640, accounting fees 4640, looking good. Let's fill it down, and okay, we got it. Postage 3214, telephone 7886, and wages 10553. Okay, so that's VLOOKUP false, VLOOKUP exact match. We can also use 0. Okay, and that's really like the most sort of common way to use VLOOKUP. I'm going to try to do all the formulas twice. So equals VLOOKUP. You got these arguments, right? Go find this, comma, in here, in my lookup range, comma, return the value from the 1, 2 second column, 0 or false for exact match. Close function, enter, fill it down, and we got it. Okay, that's VLOOKUP false. I'm doing an exact match. Let's take a look at VLOOKUP true, which means I'm doing a range lookup. In other words, that fourth argument, true or false, really sounds like this. Go find this in here, return this. True or false, am I doing a range lookup? That's really the way to think about true or false. Not really approximate match, or that's can be a little confusing. So here's the narrative that I think about. Go find this in here, return this. True or false, am I doing a range lookup? Okay, so in here, let's do a range lookup and see what that looks like. Here I'm trying to retrieve the bonus amount. Okay, and I want the user to be able to type in any sales value, and I want the formula to look up and return the related bonus amount. So I want them to be able to type in any value. So I'm actually wanting them to be able to type in any value, even the in-between values. This is what it means to do a range lookup. I'm not looking for an exact matching value. I'm looking for a value that falls within a range of values. Everything from 0 to 9999 is 0. Everything from 10,000 to 49,999 is 1,000, and just go cell by cell. For this to work, this list has to be sorted in ascending order. So let's give it a try. Equals VLOOKUP. Now, you remember these arguments? You got this, right? Go find this, comma, in here, comma, return this. The bonus is in the second column. And true or false, am I doing a range lookup? True. I am doing a range lookup here. I'm not looking for an exact matching value. I'm looking for a sales value that falls within these ranges. Enter. Let's see if it works. 10,000 returns 1,000, 10,000 returns 1,000, good. 50,000 returns 2,500. 100,000 returns 100,000 returns 5,000, yes. And what about the in-between values? Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's at 5,000. What about 175? Stays at 5,000. What about 199,999? Stays at 5,000. What about 200,000? That's when it goes to the next row, and it's going to stay there until 500. So the logic sounds something like this. Go, cell by cell, and you want to find a cell where the sales value is greater than or equal to the cell and is less than the next cell. Okay, so it's kind of like inclusive for this cell and then like exclusive or less than the next cell. And it just goes cell by cell. And that's how VLOOKUP true works. That's why this has to be sorted in ascending order for this to work. Now with VLOOKUP false exact match, sort order doesn't matter. VLOOKUP true, yeah, sort order matters. Okay, I'm going to try to write all the exercises twice. Let's do this one more time. Equals VLOOKUP. We want to go find this, comma, in here, comma, return the value from the 1, 2 second column. True or false, am I doing a range lookup? True, I am doing a range lookup. I'm not looking for an exact matching value. I'm looking for a value that falls within these ranges. Enter. Okay, and we got it. All right, so that is a very quick intro to VLOOKUP, true and false. And don't worry, we have a dozen more formulas. And so we're going to be writing VLOOKUP functions many more times, but I just wanted to do a quick intro just in case VLOOKUP is new for you. It's an amazing function. And let me take you to a couple of additional resources where you can learn more about VLOOKUP. I write a lot about VLOOKUP because it's one of my faves. And so let me show you this blog series. It's a great way to show you different ways to use VLOOKUP, different applications. And the series is called VLOOKUP Hacks. And it's just 10 different ways to use VLOOKUP and 10 different ways to kind of make it like better and enhance it. So to get there, just head to the XL University website, click blog. It's going to take you to all of these informal Excel articles. Feel free to check out any that look interesting. You can do a search. You can click on the topic you want to learn more about. And there's this subscribe form. There's no need for you to enter anything in here because on your webinar registration, there was a note that said you're going to get a free subscription to the XL University blog. So you're going to automatically be subscribed. What that means is you can expect to get one email article or one email per week every time I write a new Excel article. In other words, every time I write a new Excel article, you'll be notified via email. And the target is one new article per week. Now, of course, with the webinar and stuff, you're going to have more emails, during this webinar, but it'll settle down to about one a week. And sometimes I take a week off, but that's kind of the target. And you can unsubscribe, and it's not going to hurt my feelings if you do. But I will say this, Excel is a really big place. I learn stuff about it all the time. And when I do, I'm writing about it. And I would just love it if you'd stick around and continue learning Excel right along with me. Anyway, to get to that VLOOKUP hacks series, you could either click on VLOOKUP, or I have a special tag here just called hacks. You can click on that. And that's going to give you the list of all those VLOOKUP hacks posts. So that's a great starting point to get even more use out of this incredible function. Now let's go to SUMIFS. Okay, SUMIFS is not a lookup function. SUMIFS is a conditional summing function. Jeff, why are we even comparing these two? Here's why. SUMIFS, although it is not a lookup function, it makes a great lookup function when the thing we're trying to return is a number. Right, so before we get to the head-to-head competition and I compare everything side by side, let's just get an introduction to SUMIFS and see how the function arguments work. To do that, I'm going to open up a workbook called SUMIFS. All right, so here's the basic idea. SUMIFS is a multi-condition summing function. SUMIFS with that trailing S, multiple conditions. It is not SUMIF, like the singular version, which handles a single condition and has the order of the arguments in the reverse. This is SUMIFS with the trailing S, okay? Multiple conditions. Here's how it goes. Equals SUMIFS, okay? The first argument is officially called the sum range. Here's the narrative that's going through my head. I want to add up this column of numbers. So I want to add up this column of numbers. But I actually don't want to include all of those rows, do I? I don't want to include the sum of all of the rows. If I did, I would just use a sum function. This is a conditional summing function. I can pick and choose which rows I want included in the total. The way that we do that is by setting up a condition. Each condition requires a pair of arguments, the criteria range, the criteria value. Here's what's going through my mind. Go add up this column of numbers, comma, only include those rows where the account column, comma, is equal to my account, okay? Close function, enter. Let's fill it down and see how it looks. Interesting. 199013, 199013. Okay, we got it. That is the SUMIFS function. It handles one condition as demonstrated here. It also handles multiple conditions or multiple lookup values, and we're going to get into that when we do the head-to-head competition. But for now, I just wanted to do an introduction to see how this works and see how the arguments go. Let me go ahead and delete these. Let's do it one more time. Equals SUMIFS. Okay, you got these arguments. We want to, remember this? Add up the amount column, comma, only include those rows where the account column, comma, is equal to our account, close function. Okay, enter. Let's fill it down. 199013, 199013, and we got it. Okay, and that's a quick intro to SUMIFS. Multiple conditions. Each condition requires a pair of arguments. In this first warm-up example, we just did a single condition, a single like lookup value, you know, if you think about it like that. But this is the SUMIFS function. Okay, and we're going to write many more SUMIFS formulas together during the webinar, but I just wanted to kind of get our bearings here. So let me go ahead and close this down. Let's do my next polling question. We're going to come into the head-to-head competition. Okay. If you have not used SUMIFS before, or if you have not seen that blue and white, like those tables that I've been using, and it's been using structured table references, if you're not familiar with that, let me show you this article. This is an article that I wrote for the Journal of Accountancy called The Power of Mapping, and what it provides is an intro to SUMIFS, an intro to tables, how to use them together to create a mapping table to automate a balance sheet or other financial statement. So let me show you how to get there in case you want to check that out. Just head back to the Excel University website. And in addition to these blog posts, these informal articles, I also write like formal articles. To get there, just click on articles. It's going to take you to all of these, you know, published articles. Feel free to check out any that look interesting. The one I'm after right now is here, called The Power of Mapping. Excuse me. And you can click on that, and it's going to give you an intro to SUMIFS, intro to tables, and mapping tables, and how to automate a balance sheet, stuff like that. But don't feel like you have to memorize this URL or remember how to get here, because what I'll do afterwards in my post-webinar follow-up email that I send, I'm going to include links, direct links to all of the online resources that I mentioned during the webinar. In other words, I'm going to send you a direct link to this and to the VLOOKUP hacks and stuff like that. So anyway, that's there if it will be helpful. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the main event of the evening. To my left, the undisputed heavyweight champion of all lookup functions, VLOOKUP. In the opposite corner, wearing blue trunks, the challenger, SUMIFS. Let's get ready to rumble. Okay, it's too fun. Too fun. I hope you are having fun. I know I love this stuff. I love talking about Excel. I talk about it all the time. So in any event, hope you're having fun. I know I am. Let's go ahead and go to the main event. Okay. Here's the idea of the main event. These rounds, each round is designed to highlight a difference between these two functions. Why do we do this when they're not even both lookup functions? Here's why. I've been teaching Excel for like 20 years, okay? And one of the questions I get over and over again is, it sounds something like this. Jeff, I know the arguments to VLOOKUP. I know the arguments to index. I know the arguments to match. I know the arguments to dget. I know the arguments to HLOOKUP. I know the arguments to SUMIF. I know the arguments to SUM. What I really need help is understanding which one to use. I know that there's a lot of overlap between them and I have different choices. How do I know like which one to use in my workbooks? That's how the lesson came to be. And out of that lesson came this webinar. This is designed to identify key differences so that we are comfortable knowing which one to use in any given situation. Okay, so in order to do that, I thought it would be very effective to kind of put them together and try to do the same task twice. First with VLOOKUP, then with SUMIFS. That's going to really help us see very clearly their differences. Sound good? All right, so let's give this first one a try. I want to try to go get the amount. My lookup value is the account. Let's try it first with VLOOKUP. Equals VLOOKUP. Do you remember these arguments? You got this, right? I want to go, boom, find this, right? Comma, in here. Comma, return the value from the 1, 2, 3, third column. And true or false, am I doing a range lookup? What do you think? False, I'm not doing a range lookup here. I'm looking for an exact matching value. Close function, enter. What do we get? Wages 5022. Wages 5022 looks good, but wait a second. I have multiple rows with wages, multiple matching values. And if I fill this down, I notice this key theme here. VLOOKUP stops at the first one. And that's exactly right. The developers at Microsoft who built the VLOOKUP function gave it this by design, this aspect. VLOOKUP scans down the lookup column. Okay, once it finds its match, it stops and shoots to the right. It stops at the first one. Okay, but what if there are multiple matching rows? Well, when we're trying to consider which function to use, that's one consideration. Are there multiple matches? Let's see what happens with SUMIFS equals SUMIFS. Remember these arguments? We want to go add up this column of numbers, comma. We only want to include those rows where the account column, comma, is equal to our account, close function. Enter, 15,379. All the wages, 15,379. Let's fill it down, and this works. Okay, and sort order doesn't matter. In other words, SUMIFS doesn't stop when it finds a match. It inspects the entire range, and it returns the sum of all matching rows regardless of sort order. Okay, so when we're trying to understand which of these to use, this is going to be a consideration. Are there multiple matching rows? So let me just restate very clearly the point or the purpose of this round. VLOOKUP stops at the first match, whereas SUMIFS returns the sum of all matching rows. Good? All right, that's round one. Let's go to round two. Ding. Okay. Here we go. The point or purpose of this round is to analyze what happens with different data types. Hold on, what are you talking about, data types? That sounds really techie. No, we already know we can type in all kinds of different values into cells. We can type in text, we can type in numbers, we can type in dates, times, right? Those are data types. So the question is, what happens when we have the same value but stored as different data types? That's the question. So check it out. Up top, I've typed in some vendor IDs. Some of the vendor IDs have text strings or letters. By default, Excel left aligns text strings. So these are stored as text strings. Some of the vendor IDs are just numeric. When I type it in, it right aligns it. That's a way to communicate because the default cell alignment is right aligned for numbers. Now, changing the cell formatting doesn't change the data type. It doesn't change that stored values data type. So I could left align, center, right align. That's not changing the stored data type. So cell formatting doesn't change the data type. Below, when I imported all of this stuff, Excel during that import looked at this vendor ID column and it said, look at, there's stuff with letters. So all are going to be stored as text. Right? All the cells in this column are going to be stored as text. That's what happened during the import. So we have 40022 above stored as a number, 40022 below stored as a text. So the question is, do they match? That's the point and purpose of this round. Let's first try it with VLOOKUP. Equals VLOOKUP. Remember these arguments? We want to go, boom, find this, comma, in here, comma, return the value from the 1, 2, 3, 4th column. And true or false, am I doing a range lookup? False, I'm not doing a range lookup here. I'm looking for an exact matching value. Close function and enter. 3208 looks good. SMI 333, SMI 333, 3208. I think we got it. Let's fill it down and I'm getting a bunch of errors. So let me just check this. 40022, 400, yeah, it's there. Did I do something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I write the wrong formula? Is my Excel broken? No, this is by design. So let me say it like this. Equivalent values, when stored as different data types, don't match to VLOOKUP. We get these errors. Jeff, that's no problem. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been using VLOOKUP for 30 years. And all I have to do is, and then you fill in the blank. In other words, for the ability to use VLOOKUP, all I have to do is, and we Excel users, we've been using VLOOKUP a long time. We don't even really consider this as a workaround, okay? Because we're just so used to it, right? All I have to do is go change the data types. I just manually copy, paste, 0, add, I change the data types manually. All I have to do is get help from a helper column, a helper function, text, value. So could we use VLOOKUP? Yes, but all I have to do is, what that phrase should imply is, all I have to do is extra work that's not necessary. And if this was a one-time project, who really cares? Just get your work done as fast as possible. We're not going to be updating this. But the minute this becomes some kind of a recurring use workbook or a recurring port, something that we update every day, week, month, quarter, year, time out. Because when I say all I have to do is manually change the data types, guess what I've done? I've inserted a manual step into a recurring process. That's not how we're going to get fast at Excel. We're going to get fast at Excel by eliminating manual steps from recurring processes. We're better off working with the data as it comes if possible. So instead of forcing this into VLOOKUP where we're manually changing data types, let's just consider checking out SUMIFS and see if there's any difference here. Equals SUMIFS. Remember these arguments? We want to what? Yeah, we want to add up this column of numbers. comma, we only want to include those rows where the vendor ID column, comma, is equal to our vendor ID, close function. Enter. 3208, same exact thing that VLOOKUP returned. Let's fill it down and nice, nice. SUMIFS just works. SUMIFS enables us to work with the data as it comes. It eliminates this manual step. So this is just another thing to think about when we're trying to figure out which function to use, okay? And everyone has personal preferences. I'm just sharing you the way that I view, you know, these kinds of workbooks and focusing on saving time and eliminating manual steps. Okay, so to state the purpose of this round, to state the difference that I'm trying to demonstrate here is this. Equivalent values, when stored as different data types, don't match to VLOOKUP, whereas they do match to SUMIFS. Okay, that's the point of the round. Good? All right, let's keep on trucking. Round 3. Here, I'm trying to return the amount, okay, based on the account num. Kind of lies to the left. All right, so here's, let me say the point or purpose of this round. We want to find out if column order matters. That's the point of the round. Does column order matter? First with VLOOKUP, equals VLOOKUP. Remember these arguments? We want to go find this, comma, in here. Or like, is it here? Well, I want to go find 5020 in here, and it's in here, so let's just go with that for now. Return the value from the first column, 0 for exact match, close function. Is this going to work? No, it's not going to work. Why not? Here's why. Column order matters to VLOOKUP. Remember the way that we introduced VLOOKUP? We said it looks down the first column in the lookup range, the lookup column. It scans down. Once it finds its match, it shoots to the right. Column order matters to VLOOKUP. I know, Jeff. I've had this situation before in the past, and I already know how to work around this. All I have to do is fill in the blank. All I have to do is cut and paste to reorder my columns. All I have to do is click and drag. All I have to do is use a helper column like choose. All I have to do is, sounds like I'm introducing some type of extra work, extra manual step. If it's a one-time project, go for it. Just get it done and move on. If this is a recurring use workbook, you know, maybe we can save some time by considering another option. Let's see if column order matters to SUMIFS, equals SUMIFS. I want to go add up this column of numbers. Comma, I only want to include those rows where this column, comma, is equal to this value, close function. Enter. Yeah, that works. 145, 537. Let's go ahead and fill this down. Why does this work? It works because we are independently or individually specifying the lookup column and the return column. In other words, we're specifying the range columns independently. So column order doesn't matter. This enables us to work with the data as it comes, okay? So when we're trying to determine which of these two amazing functions to use, one thing to consider is column order. To restate the purpose of this round, here's the deal. Column order matters to VLOOKUP. Column order does not matter to SUMIFS. Good? All right, let's keep on going. Round 4. Here we want to get the account name based on the account num. First with VLOOKUP, equals VLOOKUP. We want to go find this, comma, in here, comma, return the value from the second column, 0 for exact match, close function, enter. 5020 wages, 5020 wages looks good. Let's fill it down, we got it. Now with SUMIFS, equals SUMIFS. We want to, add up, like, what, this column of names? Only include those rows where this account num column is equal to our account num? Is this going to work? No, it's not going to work. SUMIFS is not a lookup function. SUMIFS is a conditional summing function. It returns a sum. It returns a number. Okay, so this is another thing to consider. What is the data type of this return column? If it's text, VLOOKUP can return text, numbers, whatever. Okay, SUMIFS is designed to return a sum. It's designed to return a number. Okay, So those are 4 key differences to VLOOKUP and SUMIFS. Hopefully they are going to help us reason through and look at our data, look at the specific workbook, and figure out which one is going to be one that we want to use. You think you got it? Okay, I'm going to find out. I have set up 3 little extra applications, and this is where we're going to work together and kind of reason through, which function. Okay, so pretend you're at your computer, you open up Excel, you have a project to do. How are we going to know which one to use? Right, this is where it's all going. So let's take a look at our return value, state. I look down here, I see it's a text string. Okay, so can we do VLOOKUP? Yeah, VLOOKUP can return text. What about SUMIFS? That's returning a number. All right, that's one thing to look at. Let's look at this, EEID. This is a lookup value. The EEID is down here. Okay, this feels a lot like VLOOKUP, and I agree, equals VLOOKUP. Remember these arguments? We want to go find this, comma, in here, comma, return the value from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th column, and 0 for exact match, close function, enter. 5 is TN, 5 is TN. Let's fill it down. 9 is DC, 9 is DC. I think we got it. Good? Fun? Okay, let's do the next one. Application 2. We're trying to return the sales value. We look down here, we see the sales value is a number. So can VLOOKUP return a number? Yeah. Can SUMIFS return a number? Yes. So at this point, really both options are open. Let's go look at the lookup values. Interesting. Interesting. Here we don't have a single ID, a single lookup value. The lookup is comprised of 2 columns or 2 values or 2 or more. Think of it as multiple. Okay. So can we use SUMIFS? Yeah, we can use SUMIFS. Remember, SUMIFS is designed to handle multiple conditions, multiple lookup values. That's what it's designed to do. Let's think about VLOOKUP. Is VLOOKUP designed to handle multiple lookup values? No, it's designed to handle a single lookup value. But we VLOOKUP, we Excel users are very clever. And we know that all we have to do to use VLOOKUP is fill in the blank. All we have to do is combine these using concatenation, a concatenation operator, flash fill, concat, text join. And then once we do that, all we have to do is create a helper column below. That's a concatenation, concat, text join. And then all we have to do is move the column order so it's the first thing. Hey, one-time project, go for it. Recurring use project, let's be more careful. Let's be more selective. Let's see if we can work with the data as it comes. This is a job for SUMIFS, equals SUMIFS. Remember the arguments. We want to go add up this column of numbers, comma. We only want to include those rows where the first name column, comma, is equal to our first name, comma, and where the last name column, comma, is equal to our last name, close function, enter. Marguerite, 8938, Marguerite, 8938. Let's fill it down. Alexis, 4914, Alexis, 4914, and I think we got it. Okay, SUMIFS, multiple columns, multiple conditions. So it's just another factor to consider when you're figuring out which function to use. Let's go to the third one, application 3. Let's scroll down. Okay, here I'm trying to return the state. The state is a text string. Okay, I clearly can't use SUMIFS. Let's go up here. I have multiple lookup values. I clearly can't use VLOOKUP. No problem, I'll use SUMIFS. I just remembered, I have a text string below. I clearly can't use SUMIFS. Okay, fine, I'll use VLOOKUP. I just remember. And we end up in this circular loop, right? And we're like, I clearly can't use SUMIFS, I clearly can't use VLOOKUP. What am I supposed to use? Here's the deal, okay? Here's the thing. Here's the truth. These two functions are not competitors at all. These two functions are friends. They are allies that can work together, each doing what they do. They each have core strengths, and we can tap into both of them and use them together. Hold on, Jeff, by using them together, do you mean using them both in the same function or the same formula? Yes, that's exactly right. One formula can include both functions, each doing what they do. That's a classic nested function where a function is the argument of another function. So when our data has a numeric lookup ID and when our data does not have duplicate rows for the conditions provided, in other words, no two employees have the same first and last name or same first and last in zip or whatever the conditions are, then we can use this technique. Equals SUMIFS. Let's go add up this ID column. It's a numeric ID column. Comma, let's only include those rows where the first name column is equal to our first name, comma, and where the last name column, comma, is equal to our last name, close function, enter. Marguerite, 5. This is the employee ID that we're looking for. So we just need to send this into the VLOOKUP function so that it can return the state code. So let's just wrap a VLOOKUP around it, equals VLOOKUP. Do you remember the arguments to VLOOKUP? Go find this. Find what? Find all of this, whatever SUMIFS returns. SUMIFS is going to go first. It's going to calculate it. It's going to send its result into the first argument. Comma, so go find this, comma, in here. Comma, return the value from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th column and a 0 for exact match. Is this going to work? I don't know. I hope so. Enter. Yes, it works. Marguerite TN, Marguerite TN. Let's go ahead and fill this down. And Alexis DC, Alexis DC. Okay. This formula is provided inside the downloads, and I'm going to take you to a blog post that has this whole thing written out as well. But the point of this exercise is this. These are not competitors. We're going to use them both in practice. Both are mission critical Excel skills. Both are going to be very important to understand and to use. Okay, so let's go back and let's do another polling question. If you want to have a write-up of that exact exercise, check out multi-column lookup with VLOOKUPs and SUMIFS. I hope the things we talked about are going to help out. Thanks for joining me and have a great day.
This video is a production of Excel University.